Hey guys, what's up? It's Biscuit Boo Horror Reviews here with a review of a 1980 slasher film from director Don Edmonds, who is the director of the first two films in the Alsa exploitation film series. Those of you not familiar, Alsa is a character featured in technically three. One of them is advertised and as is often billed as the third movie, but still, is a character portrayed by Diane Thorne, who was a pinup model, and essentially this was a series of violent, disturbing, sexploitation kind of movies, starting with Alsa, Schulf of the SS in 1975, and I think the sequel, Harem Keeper of the Oral Sheiks, which was the sequel that this guy directed, came out in I think 76 or 77. Both of those movies are honestly some of the best exploitation films ever made. And this is his attempt at a slasher film from the early 80s, Terror on Tour. It is a movie I've known about for quite a while, and I've only really had much of an interest in because the poster artwork is pretty cool, and because of the director. Those are the only reasons I really have had any interest in seeing this movie. This movie is about a rock band named The Clowns, who resemble Kiss to a near lawsuit level, except they throw in some Alice Cooper with them, murdering women on stage, which is that's a cool little stage gimmick. That's cool. But the band runs into some trouble when prostitutes are murdered by men dressed up as members of the band. This movie has never been released on DVD. It's only available on VHS, which results in the picture, sound, and lighting quality being absolutely fucking awful. And it isn't entirely the fault of the filmmakers. Maybe in some scenes it is, but due to the fact that the only transfers of this film that exist are from an old VHS, this means the picture quality is automatically going to be downgraded quite a bit, and same with the audio. So, as for technical aspects, I'm not going to really touch on that too much in this review. The acting and writing aren't the worst I've ever seen. They're bad, yes. But if you have seen B movies, if you've seen a decent number of them, then it isn't the worst I've ever seen in a low budget production like this. As for the pacing, this film has a relatively slow pace. It goes the first about 20 minutes without any real action in terms of murders or gore or tits. And the thing is, there are other things in there that keep it interesting and engaging and even a bit entertaining. But for the most part, that first 20 minutes is just kind of drags. The movie does pick up a bit throughout almost the rest of the film until the last act, where it really, really slows down again. And again, I kind of start to lose interest after a while. And I was just waiting for another murder to happen. Ooh. Also, I just messed up. It's not 20 minutes and then a murder, it's a murder happens, and then 20 minutes after that, there's almost nothing happens. But there's some nudity in there, so that's fine, I guess. The music in the film is decent, what there is of, at least as far as I know, original music, is alright. It's your typical kind of almost synthy, slasher film kind of soundtrack. It does a decent job of setting the mood, and in some scenes, it sets a pretty decent atmosphere. As for the music that the band, the Clowns, perform in the film, they sound kind of like Cheap Trick, and that's not a compliment in my opinion. Not that I hate Cheap Trick, it's just that they're not, I just don't enjoy them that much. This is one of those low-rent horror pictures that most people, and even people who enjoy obscure movies, will most likely brush to the side. And to be completely honest, this movie is far from being god-awful in terms of, production quality, and I was entertained by it for the most part, but damn, did it just get boring throughout. On the gore meter from 1 to 10, 1 being something like Nosferatu, and 10 being something like Peter Jackson's Brain Dead, this movie is like maybe a 2 or 3. It's very, very low on the gore. There was a stabbing. I remember somebody gets their throat slit. And I think somebody gets slashed across the back. And I think I'm forgetting, like, a couple others. But, again, the gore is pretty minimal for the most part. The effects are alright. This film reminds me a lot of another 80s rock and roll slasher film, that being Rocktober Blood, except that movie was actually good and consistently entertaining. In all honesty, if you want a really good rock and roll horror film from the 80s, stick with Rocktober Blood, or Slumber Party Massacre 2, or Rock and Roll Nightmare. That one's really fun. This is a dumb, stupid, fucking crappy slasher flick, and it's actually not too poorly made, which is cool. There's a good amount of nudity, a little bit of gore, no real creative kills. Most of them are just stabbings. I think this, works best for me and a lot of other people as a background noise kind of movie, because, I just did that video on background noise movies, and this would fall under the moments category most definitely. While I, wasn't necessarily falling asleep during the movie, I did lose interest, relatively often, which kind of sucks, because I really wanted this movie to be cool and interesting. In all honesty, I think maybe I could recommend it to fans of the slasher genre. I think, people who are into the genre, who have dived into the genre and seen really awful shit, and found some good gems along the way, I would say give it a shot, because I think, because I already know, I've seen people give this movie positive reviews. I know people do appreciate and like this movie. So, if you like slasher films, this one's worth a look, at least once. I don't regret watching it, honestly. I don't think I'll ever watch it again. Yeah, to wrap it up, I'd give this movie a 2 out of 5. That is a 4 out of 10. Anyway, guys, this is Biscuit Blue Horror Reviews, signing off. Peace.